Madam Secretary, I'm going to add my voice of concern with Senator Collins, and you and I have talked about this on the zeroing out, the elimination of the TRIO and Gear Up programs. You mentioned that I actually did work in one of these programs many years ago. But my state and many of our states, but mine in particular, I think, has a lot of first-time college goers, a lot of students that don't have the aspirational goals either within their family, or they're not looking at how they can achieve education or a certificate or whatever, and that's where I think these programs have been particularly useful. So I would encourage that we look at this again, and we certainly will as a committee, because all of us have this issue within our states in terms of that first-time college goer or student that really needs the extra push, the camaraderie, the community that a lot of these, I've gone to their graduations and been their speaker, and it's really quite delightful to see how far they've come in a short period of time. So I'm going to move on from that question. I want to ask on anti-Semitism. I am the morning before our education, last year, there were protesters at Columbia University. I asked the then secretary, how many people from the Office of Civil Rights have you had actually on the campus to see what's occurring there, to see what kind of violation of civil rights might be occurring on the Columbia University campus? And apparently there was nobody there from the Office of Civil Rights. Your budget proposes to decrease the Office of Civil Rights. How are you, this is not a problem that's going away on our college campuses. We see it now we've got a little bit of a break, it's the summer. How are you going to make sure that the department is taking to ensure that all students, and in this particular case, Jewish students, are able to learn in an environment free from intimidation?
Well, thank you very much, Senator Capito. I think it is pretty evident from the actions that we have taken relative to Columbia and looking into Harvard as well, and fulfilling the promise that President Trump made when he was campaigning that he would not tolerate anti-Semitism on our campuses or discrimination of any kind. So I have personally met with first Katrina Armstrong, who's the president of Columbia, when the first issue was addressed, and now with the second, Claire Shipman, who is there now. We've talked about the issues on Columbia's campuses, and we have worked with them, I believe, in how we can solve some of these issues. They have to set their policies and their priorities, and they have to enforce them. They can't allow encampments on campuses. They can't allow students to come on dressed with masks so that you can't identify these students. I think they have to also vet the students who are coming in better to see what kind of backgrounds that they have. Even professors who come on campuses, or are they teaching ideology or more in subjects? So I personally have done this in conversations with these presidents, with other presidents of universities, to understand what their policies are. Our Office of Civil Rights has opened many cases looking at anti-Semitism, and we are actively enforcing that, as well as we have defunded some of Columbia's programs, $400 million there, and about $2.2 billion with Harvard. We're saying we mean business. These programs and policies have to have teeth. They have to be enforced. No student should have to go on campus and be afraid to go to class.
All right. Well, I agree with the substance of what you're saying. My concern is by cutting so much out of that particular, you're one person. You need the support and the backup of that office to be able to investigate these cases. So I'll leave it at that. Let's talk about literacy, because I mentioned it in my opening statement. These test scores are very troubling, I think, and you want to try to figure out how do we attribute to this. It's not like there's not great teachers everywhere all around this country trying to figure out how to get their students' achievement moving up in the right direction. I will say this: my state of West Virginia, the state legislature, in recognizing this, did allocate additional funds for reading teachers in the very early, grades 1 through 3, to try to move our scores up, because we have traditionally lower scores. We did actually make a difference. Having that extra teacher in the classroom where you can pull a child aside, give them that one-on-one attention, really does make a difference. How is the budget that you've put together is the answer to push it down to the states so that they can make those differences with our literacy and our math scores that we're falling behind? I think it's a chief concern.
Well, certainly, I think just what you were talking about, at your state level, you put an extra teacher in the classroom because you recognize the need there. I think that will make an incredible difference. There have been a lot of programs that have been tried to make sure that we could help students to read, and they've not worked. But what we are seeing in states that are doing programs now that are returning to the science of reading. We saw it in Louisiana in the PASNAPE scores. We have seen it in Mississippi. We've seen it in Iowa. The children that are learning to read and can read by the end of third grade are those that have the greatest opportunity for success. Up until third grade, we read to learn, and after that, we learn. I mean, we learn to read up through third grade, and then we read to learn after that.
Right. Thank you. Senator Durbin.
Thanks, Madam Chair, and welcome, Madam